starting these things is always the worst part. Alright. Okay. Alright. Today I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite series. Yeah, I don't read too many series. I do tend to enjoy a standalone more, but you know, sometimes I don't mind cracking into a big old series, even though none of the series I'm gonna mention are particularly long. And most of them, in fact all but one of them, is considered young adult. So, yeah. Alright, so the first series I'm going to talk about, these aren't in any particular order. Honestly, they're just in a stack on my bed, and I'm just gonna pick them up however I want to, I guess. Anyway, the first series we're gonna talk about is the Old Kingdom series by Garth Nix. I don't remember what year it was I picked this up. I want to say it was like 2014. I did not read this when I was a kid growing up. I was a grown-up by the time I finally picked it up, and it became an instant favorite. I love this world. I love the characters. It's dark. I mean, it's dealing with like necromancy and dead things, and it's very dark, but it's still just so much fun. I had such a good time reading it. I do prefer the original trilogy. There are 6 books now in the series, and one of them's a prequel, which I did really enjoy. But yeah, I really enjoy the original trilogy. It starts with Sabriel, and the next one is Lyriel, and then the third one is Abhorsen. And listening to them on audiobook is just a great time because Tim Curry narrates them, and he does such a good job. It's just so enjoyable to listen to. And yeah, this is one of those series, and I know it's kind of been in the talks, but I mean, I don't think there's ever been anything official about it, but I wish there was like a TV series, you know, for this series, because it's just so much fun, and I feel like it could just be a really good TV show. But you know, I don't mind that it's just books at this point. So yeah, so Sabriel. All right, moving on to the next series. I'm gonna try and make this video not 40 minutes long like my last video, so that's why we're only talking about a couple series. Anyway, next series I'd like to talk about really surprised me when I first read the first book, and I just fell in love with it, and that would be the Graceling series by Kristen Cashore. I read the first book, this one here, Graceling, actually I think around the same time that I picked up Sabriel, and it was just, I fell instantly in love, like I said. It's just so good. You're following Katza, and everyone in this world, well, not everyone, some people in this world are born with like special abilities, and they call them graces, and if you're born with one of these, you're called a Graceling. And so we're following Katza, who is a Graceling, and her grace is killing, and yeah, she goes on a mission to rescue somebody, and we meet lots of fun characters along the way that are just lovely and wonderful, and definitely found family in this series, like, which is great. My favorite book in the series is the second one, Fire, which is actually technically a prequel to this one. But yeah, this series is just so good. Like I said, lots of found family, lots of really great, solid characters. The world is so interesting and intricate, and it's just lovely. It's just a good time. I mean, sometimes it's a bad time, sometimes sad things happen, but it's so good. So good. I will, even though I don't really pick up YA anymore, I will forever pick up the Graceling series books. If Kristen Cashore publishes any more, I will pre-order them in a heartbeat. Like, this series, I wish would go on forever and ever and ever. I just love it so much. Especially the two newer books that came out recently are just so good. And it was just so wonderful to get thrown back into the world. And yeah, this series is wonderful. If you like fantasy, please pick it up. It's just so good. And these are the newer, this is the newer cover that came out when Winterkeep was published. I did have the original trilogy in the older covers. These are what the other books look like. And yeah, but these covers are gorgeous. And since the new books didn't match my old editions, I of course had to buy the new paperbacks, which are beautiful. I love the art on all of them. Anyway, moving on to the next series, which is my most recent series that I've read, and that is the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. The first one here is Jade City, and yeah, if there was ever an addicting series, it is this one. I finished this one, I think, 2 days before Christmas, and I immediately ordered the next two because I was panicking that I did not own them, even though it was 2 days before Christmas and I knew I was getting books for Christmas. I needed to have the next two in the series. And yeah, this series is addicting. This is the only adult series in my list today because I don't often pick up series, and this one's a trilogy, so it's not even that long. But yeah, it's so good. I wouldn't even know how to explain it. I don't like urban fantasy, and this is like peak urban fantasy. And I couldn't put it down. It was addicting. It was like immediately I was drawn into this world and into the characters, and they're not the greatest of people, but they could be worse. You know, they're doing their best, and yeah, it's about like gangs, well, they call them clans, and it's so good. It's so good. If you haven't picked this up, do it, please. It's so good. It's so good. This video is probably just nonsense, I realized, but yeah, we're following this one family and their struggles, their battle against another clan, and it's just, the twists and turns are crazy. Like, these books are insane. When I was reading the second one, I had a hard time sitting still because I was so stressed out, and yeah, it was just so good. I had such a good time. I mostly go into books not knowing what they're about. I like to know the vibes, and that's about it. I don't want to know major plot points. I don't want to know what's gonna happen. I like to be surprised, and yeah, I like just to know what the vibe is. I never read the blurbs on the inside of the jacket or on the back of the book. I will sometimes go back and read them after I've read the book just to see what it says, but because I don't want to be spoiled. Like, I know some people don't care about spoilers, but I do. It like really depends on my enjoyment whether or not I've been spoiled. Like, if I see a spoiler for a show, like a couple episodes ahead of where I've watched, I will start to not like the show. I don't know why, and it's the same with books. If you tell me, like, oh, so-and-so dies or whatever, like, I don't want to read the book. Like, if you tell me a spoiler, I'm not gonna be interested in it anymore. So I tend not to read the blurbs because sometimes they have a spoiler in them, and it, like, might not be like a big major one, but still, it affects my reading experience in a negative way. And so I just like to go in with very little knowledge. Like I said, I like the vibes. I want to know the vibes. And the male person is here. Hopefully they can't see me. Act natural. No, okay, they can't see me. I'm too far away. Although all my lights are on. Don't look. Okay, I'm safe. Anyway, yeah. So we're gonna talk about the fourth book. Not the fourth book. The fourth series. I guess the fourth book. The fourth series in my little stack here. And this one surprised me. That's what really kind of determines my favorites lately, is if I'm surprised by how much I ended up enjoying it. But yeah, anyway, this one surprised me, and yeah, I definitely need to do a reread soon, because I have forgotten a lot that's happened. But anyway, moving on. I mean, I'll tell you what the series is. Oh, this video is a mess. My sinuses, my allergies are so bad today, and it's affecting my brain, I believe. Anyway, the series is the Witchland series by Susan Dennard. This one's, I believe, fairly popular on the internet lately. Yeah, it starts with Truth Witch. And I wouldn't know how to begin to describe this series. It's just good. It's just a good time. Characters are really great. What makes me want to read more in a series is if I really love the characters. Like, there could be no plot and wonderful characters, and I will pick up the next book. So yeah, anyway, all of these series have just wonderful characters. All the series that I've talked about, like, all of the characters are just wonderful. I mean, some of them are terrible people, like I mentioned, but they're still fun to read about, and you want to know more about them, and they're interesting, and yeah, they keep the intrigue high. Anyway, same goes for the Witchland series. Yeah, I think the shining star of this series are the characters, for sure. The world is also very intricate, the magic system very intricate and interesting, but yeah, the star of the show is really the characters and the relationships that they form throughout the series, and it's just really great. Like I said, I really need to give it a reread, especially before the next book comes out. I know it's a while before we get book 5? Yeah, book 5. I know it's gonna be a while, but I definitely need to do a reread of this series. It's just really good. And also, these are the new covers that were released when Witch Shadow came out, because for some reason they did a rebranding of it. And I mean, the old covers weren't bad, but these ones are certainly much cooler in my opinion. And I like that they released them all in hardback. I really like that. Anyway, so yeah, Witchland series, really great. Yeah, if you don't know what it's about, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Alright, and so the last series we're going to talk about is actually an honorable mention. I don't really know if I'd consider it one of my favorites. I definitely need to give it a reread. Even though I reread it recently, The first time I ever read it was in 8th grade, which was a very long time ago. But yeah, and that is The Books of Pelennor. I think I'm saying that right. The Books of Pelennor by Allicyn. These are the newer covers. The older covers look like this. And yeah, this is deep, dense fantasy. It's very dense, but it's very readable. Like, anyone else get just terrible brain fog when their allergies are acting up? Because boy, it's killing me today. Yeah, anyway, it's dense fantasy and just so good and so interesting. This world is so dense and so detailed and just really great. Yeah, I first read it when I was in 8th grade. I read the first 2 books and then I didn't make it through the 3rd book, and I don't know why, but I then picked up these covers when they released these new paperback editions a couple years ago, and I finished the series and it was wonderful and it made me cry. And yeah, it's just a true epic fantasy. It's like Lord of the Rings if Frodo was a girl. Basically. We're following Myrid, and she starts off in not such a great place, and she's an orphan. Her parents have died, and she learns in the true young adult fantasy way that she's got magical powers, and she just might be the chosen one. And yeah, we just go on a journey with her and Cadvan, however you say his name, as he rescues her from the terrible place she's in, and they go around the world and try and defeat evil. It's very good. It gets very dark, especially the 3rd book is really dark. Yeah. It's really good, and I feel like I never see it talked about anywhere, and it deserves some recognition. Yeah, the first book came out in 2002. Yeah, in Australia. When was it released in the US? I don't know. 2005. Yeah, and that lines up, because that was, yeah, 2005 is when I read it. But yeah, it's just so good. It needs more recognition. Honestly, I feel like this series, if it had a TV series, it could be so good, but I know this series is not nearly popular enough to have that, and that makes me sad, because it deserves to be popular. It deserves recognition. It's sad, it's beautiful, it's wonderful. At all like the different sections of the book, there's these little poems and songs, and they're all written by the author. And there's even like this on the back, there's like these brief histories of the different peoples and stuff inside the book, like in the story, and it's just so detailed and so wonderful, and they deserve recognition. They are wonderful. Yeah, see, look. Epic fantasy in the Tolkien tradition. What I tell you, it's like Lord of the Rings. It's just wonderful, and it's really readable. That sounds like a weird thing to say, but you know how some epic fantasy, it like takes forever to get, into it to be able to understand the writing style and the language and all that. Like, it takes a while for your mind to adjust to it. This, like, you fall right into it. I don't know if that's because it's considered like a young adult series or what, but it's just really good. The characters are really interesting. Like, Myra, she's not perfect. She makes some mistakes, and that's okay, and she learns from them and grows from them, and it's wonderful, and it's so good, and yeah, it's just really good. And more people need to pick it up. I mean, more people need to pick up all of these series, you know? More people need to read. Anyway, so yeah. Witchlands. Greenbone Saga, I almost forgot what that was called. The Greenbone Saga. The Graceling series. I don't know if that's the official name of this series. I believe it's the Graceling Realm. Yeah, Graceling Realm, yeah. For a while it was called something else and I don't remember. Honestly, fun fact, the Graceling series is the series I've done the most fan art for. I will not link my fan art. Mostly because most of it is so old. Anyway, yeah. Graceling Realm and the Old Kingdom series. My favorite series. I do need some good adult fantasy series recommendations. Yeah, I tend not to pick up series very often. I've read more series, obviously, than this little stack. These are just, like, my favorites. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. That's really it for the video, I guess. Yeah, if you have any recommendations for me, you know, leave a comment. I'm always open for recommendations. They don't even have to be series. It can be anything. If you have a favorite book that needs more attention, go ahead, recommend it to me. I might read it. I don't know. It depends. Yeah. That's it, I guess. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this video isn't, you know, half an hour long like the last one and the one before that. I don't know what kinds of videos I will be putting out in the future. What length they will be. They'll probably all be very different lengths, and they'll probably all be very different because, like I said in my last video, I am nothing if not inconsistent. Yeah, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you want. I'd appreciate it. Subscribe if you want. I'd appreciate that also. Leave a comment. I would also appreciate that. Yeah. What are your favorite series? Let me know. I want to know. Tell me about your favorite book. Go ahead. Just tell me. Anyway. Goodbye.